20. No, I don't think we've ever had more than 30 graduates, but then we also, we give certificates out to the entire student body, all the students.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're doing
questions?
invaluable work. Any questions for Director Cordio?
No, I just know my aunt had gone through the program, my mother's sister, years ago, and that was one of her proudest moments was her graduation.
Yeah.
So it's valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thank you for the history as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but I once in a while I share that, but there's new faces on the board that maybe didn't see that, where we've come. And we are the Philip E. Fielding Clinton Adult Learning Center.
Yes.
And we are offering a scholarship at graduation again. They're going to. So hopefully it'll be back to what it used to be. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all of your work, and best wishes for the future.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Thank you. Thanks.
So for COVID updates, we have the count in there. The last reported one was the week of the 27th, which was 2 weeks worth of data. There were 18. It did seem like we saw, sort of like they saw statewide, a little bit of increase right around the April vacation, but it still seems to be much more manageable than it was earlier in the year. The state has been pretty quiet on much as far as any COVID stuff, so we're just kind of keeping going with what we've been doing for right now. So we're still doing the at-home testing, and we just actually stopped ordering more tests from that because we're now to the point where we have enough to get us through the rest of the year already, so we're good. As far as staffing updates, we do have one letter of resignation from Audra Irvine. She'll be resigning her position as teacher and department chair at Clinton High School at the end of the school year. I have a maternity leave, Catherine Shedd, guidance counselor at the middle school. She'll be leaving at the end of the month. She should be returning. She's planning on returning at the beginning of the school year next year, so it'll be fairly short. Do have some retirement letters. Jack McGrail will be retired. We'll recognize all of our retirees next meeting.
23rd.
Yes. So the Jack McGrail's given his letter that he's retiring after 23 years at the middle school. Paul Del Valle Sr., English teacher at the high school, has informed us he's retiring. Ellen Welsh, the business teacher at the high school, has informed us that she's retiring. And Russ Lowe, our IT support person at the middle school, is retiring. He's retiring from full-time work. He still plans on trying to help out a little bit, sort of on an as-needed kind of basis seasonally, but not going to be here all the time. So those are just some updates. And like I said, we'll get you the complete list of retirees, and we'll recognize all those people. They've all been invited to the next meeting. Mr. Morrison's working on plaques like we've done in the past, and we'll probably get cake or something like that so we can have everybody come in. All right?
Great. Yes, Mr. Cermak. We have sound now? Okay. So I guess I'll say quickly, we apologize to those tuning in on our live stream. We had some technical difficulties, so hopefully you can hear us now.
And the sound was captured on the video recording. We'll work to get that video posted as soon as we can so that anyone who wants to go back and watch the beginning will have that available to them. The next is the financial updates. So there's no real updates. Not much has really changed as far as the state's budget or feedback from the Finance Committee. I think last time we were just kind of holding to take maybe a vote just to formally endorse budget version A going forward for the town meeting. I didn't put the whole budget version A. I just kind of gave you the summary sheet that we used for the public hearing because I feel like I've given you budget version A numerous times already. So I guess the first thing I'd ask for is maybe if it's the pleasure of the board to do a vote to endorse budget version A.
Yep. So I'll entertain a motion to accept and move forward budget FY23 budget version A.
So moved.
Thank you. Motion having been made and seconded, any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
And then the second one is just the articles. There were 3 articles that were kind of put forward by Director of Facilities that were pretty much related to, primarily to the schools. So I didn't know if we talked a little about these at the last meeting, if the school committee felt comfortable endorsing these, and that way, if they want to put it on when they put the town warrant together, they could say,
School committee approved.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Joel, if I could, I'd like to ask, but just because I'm going to make a motion, but I don't want...
So should we make the motion, second it for the discussion? Do you want to weigh in?
My motion is I'd like to table this, because I'd like to get some information on one of the warrant articles.
so what, do you want?
I didn't know which order I was supposed to do
No,
this,
that's
or
fine.
just
I was going to ask if we want to look at the articles
Individually?
as a group, or if the board needs more time to table them, town meeting is
June 13th.
June 13th. When do they?
No, June 6th, I'm sorry.
June 6th, thank you. And we have a meeting on the 23rd, but the warrant has to be printed.
Yeah.
Do they have enough time?
So I think your question is probably specifically on Article 2,
Yes.
which we can get some more information
Yes.
from on them. But if you guys are okay with Articles 1 and 3, we could maybe move forward with that, and I think that's fine.
All right, so we'll take them individually.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to approve Article 1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on Article 1? There being none, all those in favor? Approved, thank you. We're going to table Article 2 for
Just more
time being.
information, yeah.
So we don't need to make a motion on it. And Article 3, can we have a motion to can we have a motion to approve Article 3 for the town warrant?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on Article 3? There being none, all those in favor? Good, okay. And we'll revisit Article 2.
If we need to. I think it's just one other layer for the town meeting. If we don't get to it, it could still be on there, and we can
Fine.
talk about it
Yep.
that night.
Yep.
It's not urgent, but I just feel, this way I can at least let the town know, town administrator know, and we can, as he's
Yeah.
putting that together, he has.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And I think the finance committee is making first pass at warrants this week, too.
Yeah, so
If we know it by then. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, no problem. Okay, moving on.
All right, couple FYI things. The next one's just a letter from NES&C. This was received April 20th. This is just the note that the NES&C has continued the Clinton High School accreditation after their 5-year progress report was submitted. So it's a good letter, and it's just reflective of the work that the high school continues to put in that process. So.
Thank you.
The next one I have up there is the CHS gym floor design. Just so everyone's aware, they are looking at, I think there's a couple in there with, one with name at the end and one with the other lines, so, you guys don't have them, do you? I have them. So we have a couple that they're working on. I think the reason we didn't put them out is because they're still going back and forth on them, because they're trying to figure out, they're drawing one up now still with like the same type of gale in the middle, and then, but this one didn't have the name at the end. They're trying to put that in there, and then also making sure that we have all the right lines that we would need in there. So they are planning on, and I'll probably try to run this probably through the marketing committee, or at least definitely through this committee at some point before we move forward, so you guys can see exactly what they're going to put down on the floor. But they are going to do a full, not just a new layer of lacquer. They're going to actually take it down to the wood, make sure there's any repairs that need to be done,
terrific.
and then refinish it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. End of year goals update. So I tried to put a snapshot in here. The first one we talked about was looking at sort of chronic absenteeism.
Yeah.
So we have to report, periodically we report things to the state. So as of our March 2022 SIMS data, you can see what our chronic absenteeism rate is. So our target back in 2019 for non-high school was 10.3% of the students, and in 2019 it was 18.7. for high school. As of right now, we're up in like the 30s for chronically absentee. Now, I talked a little bit to some officials from the state about this. They said this is pretty much what's happening across the state. And a lot of it is, it's based on 10 days of, so a big note there, is this is based on 110 days of school. This is based on being absent more than 10 days, or 10%, right? So at 110 days, anyone who missed 11. Well, let's say someone missed 11 days because they were quarantined for COVID, and now they're here for most of the rest of the year. Well, eventually, if they're only out 11 days and it gets up to like 180, now they're not going to be chronically absent anymore. So I do think there's a better chance of those numbers improving because we're not doing as much with the quarantining of COVID like we were in the beginning of the year. And these numbers, they don't care why you're out. So it's just, if you're out, you're out. So it is, I don't know how great that indicator is going to be, but it is something that we've been looking at. It's something that the schools are looking at for that data as well. That's probably go ahead.
I think kids are out too, even if they have the sniffles. Kids are staying out for more reasons than
Just to be careful.
just to be
right.
careful. So
Yeah.
I see this in a lot of different areas.
I would also add that it certainly seems like we're hedging our bets, if you will, because if it's more than just the sniffles or quarantining, we're putting resources into counselors and deans of students, and that will help regardless of,
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's just part of the transition back, and maybe it was a little aggressive for our goal to be the 2019 targets, but at least we're looking at it and we're trying to do all those things, so. Number two, not a whole lot of update on that. We'll probably get some more. This is for looking at the assessment data, so we'll be doing pretty much our end-of-year assessments. That window's going to start pretty soon in most of the schools, like their iReady windows, and then we'll be able to get some more information on that later once we have that. But we have given the initial run, and we've given the mid-year, and then we'll be given an end-of-year. And then the Universal Design for Learning, we've still been going on with that, with our PD through Commonwealth Consulting, and we're also still looking at the curriculum for the English department. We did have another meeting with that group, with one of the sales reps to kind of get more of one of the top choices to get more of an in-depth look, and right now they have more access that they're exploring some of the tools right now. So I think we're getting close to making a recommendation on that. So I still need to try to get a curriculum committee meeting together soon. So that's sort of just a quick look at those goals. I'll give you some more information on that. I'll probably get something together for my evaluation, self-assessment for my evaluation, either for the next meeting or for the first meeting in June. I'll have to check the calendar, what we said for that, but we'll probably revisit some of these as we continue to get close to the end of the year. End-of-year logistics, there's just a list. We tried to we gave you a bunch of stuff last meeting with like field trips and all that kind of stuff, just because we figured you wanted to see what was going on, just given the way things are. This one's a little more, condensed. These are pretty much the main things that typically school committee members you might want to consider attending. I think, Joel and I were looking at it. The graduation, 8th grade recognition, and the calc graduation, I think Joel typically speaks at those, and most of you come to those. The other ones, I think a lot of it's sort of up to you. If you can make it, that's great. I'd love to see school committee there, and if you can't, then that's fine. I was saying, it's kind of hard. I remember, it's like last year when we started having these events again, it was sort of like, I remember we were doing the sort of pick like one representative, because we were trying to make sure we stayed under our occupancy caps and everything. So I think we're back to whatever you're interested in coming to support, just come on out. All right, the calendar update. There's a change to this calendar. One of the things we didn't mention yet, I'll mention it probably a little bit later, but we pretty much have a verbal agreement, I guess, at least at this point, with the Teachers Association regarding the successor collective bargaining agreement. We're still just waiting for that to get finalized in writing so we can sign off on it and then get it voted probably at the next meeting. But one of the tentative, I don't think it's really even tentative, one of the verbally agreed upon points was to add 184th day to their work year, so an extra PD day. So this calendar reflects that change. There was an in-service day, a full day of no school is tentatively scheduled now for October 24th. We picked that date for two reasons. One, it should be late enough that we could use it to look at beginning of the year student assessment data. We can also look at MCAS data by that point. We know we'll have that back. At the same time, we also know that grades will be closing. First quarter grades at the high school will be closing, and we'll be getting closer to first trimester grades. And we might need to focus a lot on training in Infinite Campus to make sure that teachers are prepared as we approach report cards. So this is a change to the calendar. That was a half day. It was changed to a full day, and the last day of school was bumped out one more day. So I don't know if you guys want to vote to accept the change in the calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the change in calendar.
I'll second it.
Second?
Yes.
Okay. Motion had been made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Okay.
Thank you, unanimous.
All right. The next one's another kind of calendar thing, but it's for this year. Clinton High School is looking to do an 11:39 dismissal on June 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th for their final exams. This is something that they typically have been doing. And then this is just clarifying that our last day of school, that's pretty much our standard last day of school dismissal times for the 17th, but just sort of clarifying that for everyone. So I don't know if you guys are comfortable approving those changes for the end of the year calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion had been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, so yeah, midterms you went in later, you're not doing that, you're just getting out earlier? Okay, I'm sorry. It would be nice to come in at 9 hours. I could just wait in the parking lot. All right, I'm good.
So, okay, I don't have any questions. Anything else? All those in favor? Also unanimous, thank you.
Okay, the next one, I will be looking for a vote as well. We did approve
About this.
school choice, to participate in school choice. We had closed grade 4, grade 9, and our sub-separate programs. What we'd like to do, we revisited that a little bit. Part of it, what we were looking at is just the continuing, our enrollment just seems to continue to grow, and we don't really have, at some point, we've got to look at the restrictions and realize, like, I can't go to 9 classes in the elementary school, they just won't fit, right? So, there's certain things like that. So this is proposing a cap on new school choice students, so this doesn't affect existing school choice students, this is new ones that we would accept. We are including, after kind of looking at it with the high school, we are including accepting up to 3 students in grades 9 and 3 students in grades 3, and then 5 for all the other grades. This way, it just sort of lets us have the ability to sort of put more of a stop on the school choice coming in if we can't, if we don't have a place for them to go. So I would be, so I guess I'm requesting this sort of amendment sort of to our school choice vote taken last meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept these limits as stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion had been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just have a question.
Yep.
How is it like first come, first serve? Is there some type of lottery that happens?
Yeah, so it should be that they're due June 1st, as we have the form posted already. If we're under the cap, then they come in. If there's more than the cap, then we would need to do some sort of lottery, or we'd have to obviously check to make sure that applications were complete and appropriate, and then if we have more, we would do a lottery. And then that would be after June 1st, then it really becomes just sort of, if you apply and there's room, then we'll try to work with you. But June 1st is if you get in by then, you'll at least be in the lottery if there's more.
So can Can I ask a question relative to our last vote? We capped, we allowed for school choice except for our largest grades, which
We're 4, 9, and
incoming 3 or incoming 4?
incoming 4,
And incoming 9.
incoming 9. So we did change that in 9. That motion's up there too, accepting school choice students in grades 9, but we're accepting those 3. So we'll change that with the state that we reported. So-
Okay. So I guess my question is, how do you, if the sub-separate programs are closed, but if you're accepting a student at a grade level that requires a sub-separate program, how do we navigate that?
So typically what happens is when they would apply, if they have an IEP, they share the IEP with us, and then essentially what it comes down to is if we don't have a program that meets, so normally that always has to happen, because if we don't have a program that meets their needs, then we wouldn't accept them school choice. And then we're also saying, which we confirmed with the attorneys, we're able to do this, that even if we have a sub-separate program, if the appropriate way to get into like a sub-separate program really is to do through more of like a tuition-in agreement with another school, if that's the way they feel is the best placement.
Okay, so that
So-
wouldn't fall under school choice
Right.
because it's a different
It's like a
funding
different-
system?
yeah.
Okay.
And now, I mean, now if someone came in and 3 years from now, they were already as a school choice student and we, identified them as that, then that could be a different road because they're already a student at that point. But when they apply, if they have an IEP that would call for that, then they wouldn't be eligible for the school choice. And that way, if they really wanted to come to this program, we'd have to pursue it more through like a placement.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we already have a process for a lottery outlined from past years, or is that something we would have to articulate to the public at some point in time?
Yeah, we don't really have a process for it because we really haven't needed it mostly in the past because we haven't really set many caps. I think it is in the statute that you have to do it, so I think we'll cross that bridge when we see what it looks like. But I mean, it'll be pretty straightforward. We'll just look at the completed applications and identify any grades that it's necessary for.
Cool.
Any further questions? There being none, all those in favor?
All right. Thank you.
Unanimous as well. Thank you.
The middle school, there's nothing in here yet for you. We had submitted all of our paperwork to get the feasibility agreement going. That's been accepted, so we do have the feasibility agreement in place. We then submitted our request for services for the owner's project manager. We received feedback on that, a lot of very specific feedback on that. But it was very specific, so at the end of last week, I was able to get to it, and I made most of all, I think I addressed all of their concerns and resubmitted it Friday. So they're looking at kind of our second draft right now, which is why I didn't put it in the packet, because it's still kind of up for revision. So once we get that, we should be able to advertise so that we can get the ball rolling on our OPM, and we'll go from there.
It's exciting.
And I think the last thing I have is the tiered focus monitoring update, and I think Loretta is going to have her give a little update on that.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. So, last year we began our self-study for the tiered focus monitoring, and this year was our site visit. We had, between civil rights and special ed, we had about 52 criteria that we had to show evidence that we are compliant, but not only compliant, but that we're compliant in the sense of offering quality education and quality services and a special education continuum. So we had a site visit with two people from the DESE team. They came out, they toured the elementary school, they toured the middle school, they toured the high school, they looked at class sizes, they looked at where the classrooms were located to make sure that classrooms weren't segregated or that classrooms aren't labeled for confidentiality reasons. We did very, very well on the civil rights end and the special education end. There were two areas which we had partially met, And I think Dr. Meyer and I knew going into this, it would be partially met simply because of the limitations of COVID. And then carrying into this year, we were to do a self-evaluation under civil rights and special education. And so there really weren't any surprises there. We spoke with Mike McDonald last week. We went over what they call the SIMP, which is the corrective action or the corrective, the improvement thing that we have to hand in, the plan.
Continuous Improvement Monitoring Plan.
Right.
Or the SIMP.
The SIMP. And it has benchmarks and dates and different things that they want us to submit. I had asked Mike McDonald if he had a sample of a really good self-evaluation that we might be able to use as a template. He did some looking, and he said he found a really good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know for the civil rights one, they offer the department itself offers some training for that, so we looked at possibly doing that for maybe one of our half-days
Right.
next year, is trying to book with them to do some of the training on the civil rights and what they're looking for in terms of when you're evaluating your programs. Because they really want you to look at everything, not just like access to Tier 1 curriculum or access to certain classes, but also access to extracurricular activities and all those kinds of things. And so probably do a little bit of, probably use a little bit of PD time, one to try to do some training and one to actually give some time for people to actually sort of assess their own behaviors.
And then with the
program.
special education program evaluation, we'll pick 2 programs, we'll evaluate, and we'll be on a continuous evaluation cycle every 2 years, where we'll pick 2 more programs, and we'll continue to evaluate to see what are the strengths, what are the areas in which we need to improve, what are the trends, what do we see coming down the line. So it's a good activity. It's a very good activity. You doing okay?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Loretta.
Thank you.
The only other thing I'll add to is, when she mentions that there's, whatever it was, 52-something criteria, there's a lot more than that, because it's 52 that each one, a lot of them have A, B,
Multiple
C,
indicators.
D, and and you got to do it for each school or each program or each whatever, so it's a lot of work putting that together, so.
We were surprised when he said he found a really good study to use.
Yeah, so that would be good. All right,
thank
so I
you.
think it's the end of my report.
Do you mentioned curriculum, and that's in process.
Yeah.
Anything new from safety, marketing, policies, procedures, and/or, we do have had some updates from facilities as well. Anything from our advisory committees?
We'll probably set a meeting for
Yeah, we should
marketing
probably,
on
and I'll try to work with,
23rd.
we'll shoot for the 23rd. Let me try to talk to Brian as well, though, because I want to get hopefully we can get that, more information on that gym, so we can look at that and make sure we're happy with like the colors and the font and all that stuff, so we can sort of endorse it and get that project moving forward.
Okay.
If you're only going to refinish it every 23 years, you want to do it right.
You already, spoke to the subcommittee for negotiations.
Yep.
Anything under old business?
Actually, probably links back to marketing, but Steve, do you think we try to squeeze in an update on the redesign of the website, too?
Yeah, I sent
you.
that survey out, I got to compile that data,
Yeah.
so I'll probably get that on the next, yep.
Maybe for the marketing subcommittee
Yep.
or what have you, because I know that's going to tie into the new student information system at the same time, so we're going to have a busy summer.
Yep, and we're doing, there's all the trainings for the new information system are not all of them, but a lot of them are starting to ramp up for, guidance counselors for scheduling and secretaries and those types of things. There's a lot of those trainings are already starting right now for that. Website.
Thank you. Anything else under old business?
I don't know if this is old, but the first time we'll be having a Memorial Day parade. Is that something the committee wanted to partake in?
We're having a Memorial Day parade in Clinton? Forgive my ignorance.
Yes,
Outstanding.
as I sit here right now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So,
I owe you guys, and I apologize, I'll get you some information.
no
But
apologies necessary. I just meant that I haven't
we
been
could make it
following.
right.
No, it's not on you. I haven't been following Clinton events, and I apologize for
Well,
that.
actually, I met with the selectmen last Wednesday, and that's when we talked to Sean and kind of agreed that we're going to do it. So it's still in progress, but it's planned at 9 o'clock.
So
Out
Mrs.
doing the
Panta's
whole parade.
question is typically that the school committee has, and I guess has not, chosen to march in the parade, so what's the pleasure of the committee?
The only thing I know, and not that it matters, you guys can do whatever you want to do. I know in the past, when we've done it, I've marched, usually with you guys. I know I will be out of town that weekend.
I actually am also out of town that weekend.
And Memorial Day is,
I got to be there anyway, so. I'd like for somebody to hang out with. Somebody
Wear two hats, buddy, wear two hats.
We can figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
that's no problem.
Okay.
We'll figure
Thank
it
you.
out.
You can decide later.
that's
or-
fine, I don't think we need to take a
If you got a
formal
banner,
action.
pencils, whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Tchotchkes, throw
Sounds
them all
good.
out.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, anything else under old business?
We're under new business.
What's that?
Were we under new business?
Not yet.
No, I
we're gonna
should have
close
waited,
out
I
old
should have
business.
waited for
All
new
right.
business.
All right.
Anything under new business?
I just want to mention, because I don't know when we lost the live feed, but the school
Yeah.
play, Shrek Junior.
Oh, thank you.
Friday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock, $5 admission. PTA is going to be selling refreshments, and the kids have worked really hard, so if you have a chance, come to the school play at the high school
And
Friday
come hungry and
Saturday.
thirsty.
Come hungry and thirsty.
And I guess we should mention this, that if you heard all the sirens and everything today, the
Yes.
cheerleaders returned from their national competition today,
Thank you
and
for
they were crowned the grand champions of that event. I believe they had the highest score of any team, regardless of size or anything, at the competition this weekend
Sounds
down in
terrific.
Florida. So, sounds like it was a successful trip, and congratulations to them. I know they saw some pictures. They had their national champions gear on already, so it looks
That's great.
Congratulations to them.
That's great, yeah. Anything else under new business? Thank you to the Clinton Police Department for organizing High Five Friday with our
Yeah.
schools, and just, we're grateful for so many partnerships that we have with our community organizations, and certainly seemed like from the pictures that I saw that the kids really enjoyed it, so thank you to the Clinton Police Department. Anything else under new business? There being nothing, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, stand adjourned.
Good evening.
Thank you, everyone.